Hello everyone. Welcome to today's Straight Talk on Social Media webinar. Excited to have a great group again here this morning for those of us on the West Coast, afternoon for those of you on the East Coast. First day of October here in Portland. We've had pretty good October weather, pretty good fall weather so far. But we've got friends on this webinar from all over the country. Some of you have already gotten some I know some bad winter weather as far as the rains go, so hopefully you end up getting a great fall across the country. I wanted to just say before we started the webinar that we want to thank all of you for help spread the news about this webinar series. The feedback's been great, and I know many of you have referred it on to others. And I just, as a principal here at Pivot Group, wanted to thank you for that. So what we wanted to do today is get me out of the way a little sooner than normal. So I'm going to turn it over to Ian Desher here. Ian is our social media expert, digital marketing expert. He's been leading these webinars with a lot of great content. And all I'd like to do is point out the questions bar for you. So if you have a question along the way, please click on that area of your control panel and send us your questions. We welcome those, we like those, and be happy to answer those. So with today's Straight Talk on Social Media, here's Ian Desher.
Thank you, Dave. So as always, with the Straight Talk webinars, we're going to begin with the news. Here we go. Starting off the news, last week Twitter announced that it would be rolling out a free analytics tool that tells people in real time how other users on Twitter are interacting with their tweets. Twitter's analytics tool is expected in this final quarter of 2010, and the fact that it will be free is good news for marketers, although it's potentially bad news for companies whose bread and butter is writing Twitter analytics tools. Also, earlier this week, it was revealed that Twitter would be adding a promoted accounts offering to advertisers on Twitter. Several weeks ago, I talked about Twitter's new promoted tweets and promoted trends services, and now they're offering promoted accounts. Promoted accounts would allow your Twitter account to show up on the right-hand side of the Twitter interface in the Who to Follow section. This is another way Twitter is hoping to generate advertising revenue. In other news, there was major speculation this week that Facebook and Skype are close to a deal that would combine Facebook with Skype's powerful online phone technology, allowing you easily to call your Facebook friends online. This Facebook-Skype deal, if and when it happens, seems like an answer to Google's recent introduction of the Google Phone service, a way for both Facebook and Skype to capitalize on each other's success and create a tool that's potentially even more useful than Google Phone. If you were able to join us for our webinar on the Papa John's campaign, you may remember that in the news that week I talked about Digg's unsuccessful redesign and the fact that its users sort of revolted and started pointing their fellow users over to Digg's rival site, Reddit. Well, it seems that may have been a bit too much for Digg founder Kevin Rose, who announced this past week that he is burned out and may not continue on at Digg for much longer. This may mark the beginning of the end for the troubled social media site, Digg, which is already facing the problems of the last several weeks in terms of its redesign. We may be starting to witness the death of Digg. A new social media site is in beta testing called Bump.com, and this is my one to watch this week. I don't know whether to be excited or terrified of this new service, which might be the most appropriately named service ever. Here's the idea behind Bump.com. It's a social network where people's profiles are tied to their car license plates. So here's an example of how it might work. Let's say you are a member on Bump.com and you see another driver who's driving a pickup lose part of their load from their truck's bed. Well, if you catch their license plate number, and you can hop onto Bump.com on your smartphone and send a quick message to that person. Their smartphone then beeps because their Bump.com profile is alerting them to your message. And then they can see that they've just lost part of their load. I think this is a fascinating idea, which is why it's one to watch, because who hasn't wanted to say something to another driver from time to time? But bear in mind that for it to work, it requires both people in the exchange to have Bump.com profiles, both of them to have smartphones, and for one driver to be able to catch the other driver's license plate number. to say nothing of the fact that this all has to happen while one or both people are driving. Bump.com could pretty quickly become crash.net. So I'm not sure it will catch on, but I do think it's one to watch. Here are some takeaways from the news, briefly. First, the new analytics and promoted accounts offerings Twitter is introducing are part of an ongoing effort to keep up with sites like Facebook and Google. Last time I talked about how Twitter's recent redesign makes it look a bit more like Facebook. Its promoted tweets and trends and now accounts are an answer to Facebook ads, and this new free analytics tool is reminiscent of Google's similar tool. This is all good news for people who market via Twitter, because now with analytics you'll be able to see how your tweets are actually catching the imagination, or not, of your Twitter followers. In a future Straight Talk webinar after the analytics tool is released, we'll take a closer look at how it works. With promoted accounts being added to the promoted tweets and trends, we may be starting to see a Twitter where advertising is potentially as effective as the powerful Facebook ads program. So all of this is good news for marketers. The Facebook Skype potential deal once again changes the way we use phone service. For our telecommunications clients, you'll want to start thinking more and more about how traditional phone service needs to be augmented with online tools to keep up with what we're seeing recently in the combination of social media and telephone technology. A Facebook-Skype combination has the potential to make staying in touch with your friends easier and cheaper than ever, particularly for people who use Facebook on their smartphones. Watch for this deal, if it happens, once again to reshape the traditional telecommunications field. The takeaway from Digg's troubles and its questionable future is simply that some social media networks aren't going to make it. And as time goes by, more and more will be weeded out as users decide how much is too much in terms of social networking. This is a reminder, then, to companies who use social media to pick your social media presence wisely. In the next Straight Talk webinar, 2 weeks from now, I'm going to look at some sites beyond Facebook and Twitter. But Digg's troubles are a reminder that social media is new enough that few sites' places are fixed permanently yet, even popular sites like Digg. Finally, the takeaway from the new site Bump.com is that the best sites combine innovation with practicality. Bump.com sounds big on innovation, but very questionable on practicality. This balance of innovation and practicality is a good benchmark for your own promotions, too. You might want to buy every new customer a big trip to Hawaii. I mean, that's big on innovation because no one else is doing that, but it sure isn't very practical. On the other hand, completely practical promotions often don't have the flair of the innovative. You wouldn't want to run a promotion that is totally practical but ultimately boring. So the trick is to figure out which promotions will combine just enough innovation with a realistic dose of practicality. If you attended Dave's Straight Talk on Telco Marketing webinar last Wednesday, you heard me talk about Valley Telecom's recent promotion that gave a new Dell notebook computer to any new customer who either bought a bundle or an existing customer who upgraded their bundle. That promotion was a good example of innovation and practicality combining to really form success. It will be fun to see what happens with Bump.com, whether it soars or crashes, no pun intended, but if nothing else, Bump.com's idea is a good reminder of this innovation versus practicality test. So that's the news, and now I'm going to jump into the focus, social media customer service. I'm going to structure this focus around the Home Depot, a company that quickly became well known for their excellent social media customer service. iMediaConnection.com recently did an article about the Home Depot's customer service excellence, for example, and having taken a look at their Facebook page, it's pretty clear that Home Depot is well ahead of the social media customer service curve. So let's take a few examples of interactions they've had online to see how Home Depot handles customer service, and then we'll talk about what your company might learn from them. The first thing to look at, though, is Home Depot's Info tab, which lays out the conduct expected on the Home Depot page. I have not seen many companies that do this, that actually lay out an expectation of how people will behave. But Home Depot's list is really well done. They're calling for mutual respect, basic maturity, and so on, and they have rules for their customers as well as their associates, their employees in particular. The Home Depot Facebook page is a place where many Home Depot associates come and interact with customers, so Home Depot wants the employees to know they have a higher standard. Often Home Depot employees respond to customers directly through their personal profiles. In other words, an employee will respond even though they're not the official Home Depot page responders. So Home Depot has created these rules of engagement. All users, keep it clean, no solicitation of products and services. We reserve the right to remove any posts. Please respect our intellectual property. and don't repeat postings of things over and over. And for associates in particular, remember the company's core values. Don't disclose proprietary information. Abide by the code of conduct and privacy policy. Be responsible and ethical, and participate on your own time. There's really some really good, well thought out stuff here. Well, one thing I learned as I prepared for this webinar was that Home Depot has a separate social media resolution department. Formed in November 2009, the social media team is dedicated to responding to customers through social media. One of their representatives had this to say about the team. She wrote, "Our team has knowledge of social media, communications, and alternative ways to inform via written, oral, and visual media. We're aware of how to establish a presence in key social networks, making the company more personable and more accessible. We are like search and rescue agents. We actively seek customers in need via social media, working to resolve their complaints and offering information for questions or concerns they may have. To perform this duty well, one must be consistently reaching out, actively engaged many times in a public setting, and have great follow-up skills." I think that's just a perfect description of social media customer service. So now let's look at some actual customer service interactions on the Home Depot Facebook page. Here's a customer challenge to Home Depot. Not a complaint, more like somebody throwing down a gauntlet and daring Home Depot to respond. Kathleen Kennedy wrote on Home Depot's page, "Do they or do they not honor their low price guarantee and or beat it by 10%? I say not." Home Depot replies within about 10 minutes, assuring Kathy that they do and pointing her to the website where the actual policy can be seen. More impressively, and this is always the case on Home Depot's Facebook page, the customer service associate, April, actually signs her name. It's really important to have that personal touch. Now we get to an actual customer complaint. Jason Sauer, who evidently loves his German Shepherd, complains about how awful the service through HomeDepot.com was. Customers this angry aren't really looking for an answer. They're looking to rant and to convince other people that Home Depot stinks. So Tinsley, one of the 3 Home Depot customer associates who answers customer comments, she does 2 things. First, she apologizes. What a concept. It's really, I think, a big deal to begin with. Most companies aren't willing to take that simple step because they don't want to lose face or actually admit an error. The Home Depot customer service representatives apologize because they know people want the company to own up to its bad service. So she apologizes and then she promises to follow up. She gives her direct email address and promises to be in touch with the online team. Even if Jason is already sour on Home Depot and isn't going to follow up with Tinsley, she has shown anyone else reading this comment that Home Depot takes customer service seriously and will work to make things right. So we've seen a challenge and a complaint. Here's a rumor. Richard Wilson asks, "Is it true Home Depot discriminates against veterans?" We don't know where Richard has heard this. We just know that it sounds terrible. Who could possibly like a company that discriminates against veterans? And now Richard has made the rumor public on Home Depot's Facebook page. So Tinsley responds again, assuring Richard that veterans are not discriminated against, and in fact there is a special discount for veterans. Her next to last sentence, I think, is masterfully constructed. She says, "Is there anything I can help you with regarding this?" You see, Tinsley doesn't know what Richard has heard or where he heard it or what exactly he's upset about, but she's trying to get to the bottom of it by asking him a very open-ended question. This is why one of the associates described them as a search and rescue team. This is really the way to handle an online rumor, by quickly telling the truth and trying to figure out what its source is. Here's a friendly one. Mary Becker, in a moment of joy, posts, "Home Depot really cares enough to listen to their customers." Home Depot responds via Tinsley, "Thanks, Mary. So happy we were able to help you out. Please reach out anytime if you need us again. Thanks." Home Depot wants people to know that positive comments are welcome and also wants those who are reaching out happily to know that it's okay to reach out when they're not as happy also. Here's a similar positive comment, but this one really encapsulates Home Depot's commitment to both its customers and its employees. Shannon Clay says she has wonderful and helpful people at my Home Depot. Tinsley responds asking if Shannon will share which particular store that was so that she can let the associates there know about the positive comment, and then Shannon goes ahead and tells her. Now, Tinsley could have just acknowledged the comment, but since Shannon mentioned a specific store, Tinsley goes to the extra effort of following up with the store as well. This, I think, really shows Home Depot's customers that they care for their employees, and also shows Home Depot's employees that they are valued.